Yes, sir.
So we have three ordinances that have been circulated for a hearing, public hearing this evening. The purpose of the public hearing for everybody who's here is to receive public comment on the three ordinances. So, what I'd like to do first is put a couple documents on the record. First is the legal notice, which provides a summary of each of the three ordinances. Number two is the proof of publication that was in the newspaper on May 2nd and May 9th. Number three is the letter sending the ordinance to the law library on April 15th. The next one is the service on the owners of the 21 properties, which is the subject of the third ordinance on the list in the legal notice, and that is the 21 properties being rezoned from RO retail office to LI limited industrial. The fifth one is the Montgomery County Planning Commission review letter for the first two, and the first one is the township's text update to the zoning ordinance, and the second one is the Route 100 overlay text changes. Those two letters are both dated April 19th, 2024. Number six is the Montgomery County Planning Commission review letter for the map amendment, and that is dated April 22nd, 2024. And the seventh document is the Regional Planning Commission's review letters of all three, and each of those letters are dated May 6th of 2024. So just for the public benefit, we have three ordinances. The one changes the zoning for 21 properties from RO to LI. The second one is the Route 100 overlay text amendment changes to that overlay district. And the third one is the township update to a couple sections of that zoning, or the zoning ordinance. Are there people here that want to comment on any or all of these draft ordinance amendments? There's just two, so come on, we'll take the gentleman up front first. No.
My name's Bud Donatelli, 889 Willow Street. This is my first time at a meeting, so I don't really know all the procedures, but I saw that there was a post.
Push the button on the microphone
Yeah. I saw that there was a post on the street, and then there was a meeting, but I believe that meeting was canceled, and now this is a follow-up meeting to that. My only question is, I'm not sure what it means, what it's gonna mean to our street in particular. I'm on the 800 block. There's trailers that are now being parked on the other side of our street, and trucks are coming in and out. I know there was a business that owned the property before, and it's been sitting there. So, because I don't understand all these things, I just wanna know what kind of impact, are they gonna be there all the time? Is something gonna change, or if changing the ordinances means, can housing go in, or, you know, so that's pretty much just trying to get some information, because I'm not familiar, and I've lived in the area for over 20 years now. Just a quiet person just going about life, but anyway, because of that, I'm just here to see what effect will that have on our street, in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. And I forgot to point out, this is Matt Hovey, who is the attorney for the property owner who requested the map amendment, and also point out that there are attorney and representatives for the Route 100 overlay as well in the audience. So if you have any questions for them from the board, so.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Fry. As you pointed out, I represent Charlie Dickinson. Mr. and Mrs. Dickinson are here with us in the room this evening. Mr. Dickinson owns the properties that would be impacted by this map amendment. He operates several businesses out of those properties, including Pottstown Area Rapid Transit, which is the
What is it?
Pottstown Area Rapid Transit, which provides the regional bus service for our area, as well as the busing for the Pottstown School District and Pottsgrove School District. The current use of the property predates your current zoning map. The way the properties were zoned under that map amendment, they're zoned as retail office. That's not really consistent with the historical and current use of the property. So what this map amendment will do, will rezone the properties as limited industrial. In terms of the gentleman's question, the result of this map amendment will not change at all how the properties are being used. Again, from a policy standpoint, it's bringing it in line with what that district is intended for, and it's also administratively beneficial for the township, because while the current uses of the property are lawful pre-existing nonconformities, and what's difficult about that is that if there is any change or expansion of the use, it requires a lot of work from the zoning officer to analyze that, and almost always is gonna require some type of variance, which is gonna involve your zoning hearing board. This change should hopefully clarify all that in the ordinance, and again, make it consistent with the intent of that zoning district and how the property is currently being used. So unless anybody has any questions, we appreciate you considering this.
Thank you. I did mention, Steve Kalis and Ted Cochin are here also for, the second one, which is the Route 100 commercial overlay, so does the board have any questions for them?
Questions?
Okay. Any other public comment? All right, so we can close the hearing on this one, and Tom, there is another hearing, so stick around, so, okay, I just wanna make sure you don't leave back up on me. All right, so for this one, since public comment is done, and we've had the reviews from all of the county and applicable other agencies, it would be appropriate to adopt these at this time, so, I would like to propose them one at a time, so I'll just phrase them in a way that you can either adopt or deny the ordinance.
May I ask a question first?
Yes.
This is the second pass at some of these, if not all, but, I just like to see where the other commissioners sit, if there's any questions or internally, just curious.
Just so, are we approving all three of these ordinances right now?
One at a time.
One at a time.
I
I
can't
just
say you're
wanted to
approving,
be-
that's up to you, so yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure,
Mhm.
we're just approving one at a time. The
Correct.
first one is
I was gonna do the one we just spoke about
just spoke
first,
about.
which was the rezone, which was the application of,
Mhm.
Mr. and Mrs. Dickerson for that change of 21 properties, so from the RO to the LI.
Thank you.
Just wanna go over time. So would be appropriate, as these come up, would be to give us your comments or questions, and I'll try and answer them, and again, we do have representatives here as well on two of these. So this would be a motion to adopt, and enact an ordinance to amend the zoning map to change the zoning of 21 properties from RO to LI, and to incorporate those changes into the zoning map.
Hearing that statement, is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Hearing a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, more discussion? All in favor says aye. Against? Motion carries.
Thank you. The second one is the Route 100 overlay. And this is I'm not gonna go through all the changes, but, it's because it's substantial. But it's an ordinance to amend, the regulations of the Route 100 Commercial Overlay District as stated in the ordinance. And there are roughly, 15 to 20 changes in that ordinance. So that would be the motion to adopt the stated amendments to the text of the Route 100 Commercial Overlay District.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Hearing a motion, is there a second? Hearing a second, for discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Amendment carries.
And the third one is the township's text amendments to update the zoning ordinance. This zoning, so it'll be an ordinance amending section 350-66, which is the use regulations for R1 zoning district, and section 350-12, which is exemptions for federal, state, and township properties.
Need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Need a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second discussion?
Yes. I feel that my problem is still with the language on, page 3, Article 2. Township-owned land and buildings, the provisions of this chapter shall not apply to land and buildings owned by Upper Pottsgrove Township and used for its governmental purposes. I understand that we own that property, which is, I'm thinking, open space. It just sounds as if this is not defined enough to protect the open space that we have. And given what's happening right now, it just concerns me that we're just, I mean, I appreciate separating out all these, issues into separate ordinances, I like that idea. And I don't have a problem with anything else in this ordinance but that one statement. And I do understand that PMRPC sent a letter, it's not the letter, here it is, with a notation that, we should define governmental purposes in that letter. And this will help clarify what is meant by proposed amendment to Article 3, Section 350, 12.b. We suggest the township consider language adopted by Lower Merion Township. These actions, objectives, or goals in which the Township of Upper Pottsgrove has been vested with statutory authority to accomplish, fulfill, or oversee. I think what we're missing is that we're not overseeing the open space lands and just coming in and putting what we want wherever we want. That's my concern.
Others?
This has been revised a couple of times. This is pretty much reflects the surrounding township.
Could you use a microphone, please?
So what, I'll repeat what he said. So he stated that this ordinance sections and language has been revised several times. It's gone through the process, and it now reflects what several of the surrounding municipalities have in their ordinances. So I'll now reply to what he questions. So, and the answer to that is yes. What we did is we looked at what it's 8 or 9 districts in the regional planning commission, or 8 or 9 municipalities in the regional planning commission. We looked at that, and 7 of the 9, or all but 2, had this language which exempted their municipality from the requirements to comply with zoning. We were one that did not, and another municipality was one who did not. I spoke to the solicitor of that other municipality and was informed that that's how they read their ordinance anyway, and they don't apply the zoning to themselves anyway. So, and the other aside that I'll put to that is that I think your ordinance already does exempt township property. This is just making it more clear.
Other discussion?
Just from a letter that Scott France sent to all of us, dated February 1st, MCPC recommended general support of the amendment and stands by that position. However, we want to be clear that while any district may contain a municipal use, that does not mean that any, bold and italicized, site or parcel is appropriate for certain municipal uses. I think they're giving us instructions there to protect what we have. Like, we just can't drop a building anywhere on open space. And I get, there's other language in here. I'm just stating my
So I'm letting you finish, yeah.
problem with that one particular thing, particularly in light of what's going on right now.
Understood. What Mr. Franz was stating in that letter actually was that your actually, your problem with it is incorrect at this point. In that this ordinance isn't for a specific property. So what he's saying in his letter is, we're looking at this ordinance as a whole, as governing how you do the entire township. You can't apply it to one property. That, when that property comes in to be developed, you then have to apply that property to the ordinance and find out, does it comply, and actually, do you wanna develop it that way? And that's really for this 5-member board to then decide whether you want to develop that property that way or not. But it's not an ordinance requirement, that's an application or a land development subdivision issue. So he was explaining that, because, and this is why it got amended, actually, because there was a lot of back and forth at regional, that they thought that the prior drafts went too far. And actually, the issues they had with the prior drafts was that we defined what a municipal use was, and they didn't like that definition. So the regional had a problem with the definition, and now we revised it, and now county wants us to put a definition in. So we kind of went back and forth a couple times to make people happy, and I think we're satisfied that the ordinance at this point does what we intended to do.
Okay, I spoke with Mr. France about this letter, a couple months ago. And basically what I was saying was correct in what he was trying to communicate to us. And I also spoke to some people on PMRPC because I know a few of them. And their concerns were a bit different, a bit more weighted.
Regional? I want to make sure that you didn't say that.
PMRPC. Mhm.
Okay, my comments are, paragraph A is already in our ordinance, and you can see any political subdivision in there, so it always, as Eric just said, already established that. This is the zoning piece, it's not Title 32 that has the applicability of the open space law, which tells how we handle open space. So this is about zoning, and clearly we're not gonna put an oil well or anything like that in any of our ground, regardless of how it was purchased. So is there any more discussion? All in favor of?
Right here.
Yeah, we already have public comment on this.
Not on this one, you did.
Oh, yeah, we absolutely did.
Go ahead, Hank.
No, I don't know.
Did
Is
you
there
have
a
a comment?
motion on the floor? I'm sorry. Is there a motion on the floor?
Yeah, we have a motion, and we have a second, and any more discussion? Because we're in discussion right now.
Yes, Don and Kathy.
Thank you. No, Kathy wouldn't have seconded.
I'm sorry, Hank and Don.
Perfect, okay. So I would give you a second where I know there wasn't one, yeah.
Thank you. Hank and Don.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Against?
Nay.
3-2. Get that? You want to close
Yes.
now?
The hearing's already closed, so.
Okay, we're gonna move to